Yeah, and if you have an issue with that, just let us know.
Yeah.
But we should be, just talking about business stuff.
Yep.
Yes. Welcome back, everybody. It's good to have everyone back for a meeting. So let's get right into it. Let's start off with some show and tell. Who would like to go first?
Actually, I'd like to go first. I have come down with a head cold, so I'd want to just get like show off my stuff, get the feedback, and then go right back to going to sleep.
For sure, that's totally fine.
Yeah. All right. So I made some updates to the environment style guide. I think at this point it should be pretty fleshed out. I think it has again, the sections are pretty brief and broad, but I think all the sections that we have spoken about are, well, spoken for in the document. I'll just go through it a little bit by bit. So I've added the materials. I've merged the materials into the textures section. I just made a very quick note on it on the materials. Just basically, Laura, kind of going over what we talked about when we last spoke about it, saying that the environment materials will follow a fairly typical PBR pipeline, so unless otherwise specified, materials should also be depicted with fairly realistic lighting properties. Let me know if that is inaccurate, and I think I also made a note on the textures that at least for the Narbonic end, but yeah, at least for like the super science or textures that will be used on super science objects will be pushed on an as needed basis. I also went ahead and added the foreshadowing and storytelling section, going over examples on that we have with Johanna's current art about areas where we can show some foreshadowing in the environments, as well as showing examples of environmental storytelling where appropriate. One thing I actually want to add, and let me make this a note for myself, is keeping sections for the environment or those kinds of sections of the environments somewhat modular. The best example of these two here would be like the posters in the conference room here, that they can be really swapped out to whatever bit of foreshadowing or environmental storytelling that we need for whatever the current story beat is. And finally, I added a very, very brief section on color grading. I know we don't have any current examples for it yet, basically because it's going to be a post-processing thing. But all I really wrote on it is basic stuff, just like it'll be used to denote certain times of day or to enhance a certain feel that we want for the particular scene at the given moment. So that's what I have on for the environment style guide. And then really, like, apart from updating it based on any feedback I get from you all today, my final goal for it will basically just be to add some stronger visual aids. Like I actually want to finish working on is showing the how the shape language in Mel's corner correlates to her character design as explained in the paragraph above the example image. I just want to basically just go highlight a couple of shapes in the image and then compare and contrast. And yeah, that's what I have going for that. And for both the character and the environment style guide, Laura, I got your message on Slack about not being able to edit it. So I've changed the permissions on it. So anyone with the link, so anyone on the Trello can go in there and make suggestions, edits, what have you, as needed.
Cool. Sounds great. Yeah, it looks fantastic right now. I just want to take one quick last look at it later, but then I think I'm going to consider that assignment done for now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's looking great. Good stuff.
All right, and then the other thing I did was I went ahead and got started on doing some exploration sketches for the DaveBot. I did just a couple of quick sketches for the robot form, and also just a couple of little quick sketches of what this I'm assuming legally not Prius is going to look like in the show. I went ahead for the bot. I took some inspiration from G1's Transformers, from Dexter's Lab Robots, and from Megas XLR. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that show.
Sure
Yeah.
am.
Yes.
It's so good. Anyway, and then for
Yeah, I
the
watched pretty much
Prius.
everything.
Oh, sorry. One more time.
I watched all of Megas.
Yeah. Oh man, I'll gush on that show with you at another time. It's so good. But yeah, and then for the Prius, I just did a couple of different shape sketches. I was playing with like, slightly more futury concepts, slightly more older concepts. Like actually like was looking at like I don't know, I forget what the actual name of it is, but it's like the Toyota Space minivan from the 80s. I'm sure y'all have seen it driving around in your necks of the woods. So yeah, just playing around with a couple of those ideas.
This is just an intuition, and I don't have any proof, but I just got this feeling that Toyota might be like chill enough that maybe they'd actually just accept that kind of product placement. At some point, maybe we can reach out to them and just see if they'd find it funny.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if
The real world is, I suggest that it's easier to buy off of that stuff if you can show them what it'll look like and it looks good. It makes it easier. So, who knows?
Yeah,
I will write that in the meeting notes, Shane.
Yep.
Better to ask for forgiveness than permission, right?
Well, it's kind of like it was Rick and Morty based. I forget what they did. They were doing something Rick and Morty based. Oh, it was one of those indie games with it was like a 4-person shooter.
Uh-huh.
And they mocked up like Rick and Morty in the game, and they were working in the game, and then with that working, they showed the Rick and Morty creator what it looked like, and he's like, "Oh, hell yeah, you can have the rights to do that in your game. Go nuts." So I don't know. Maybe we'll get a real car, or maybe we'll just use, like you're saying, your stylized mix of car-ish things. Anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And if nothing else, like I did do I was playing around with the one of the notes on Dave's character sheet was this sort of like interlocking symbol / motif. I did a very Toyota style version of that same design language. So if nothing else, we can use that as the badge.
Yeah, it sounds great. Definitely some great stuff to go over here. Shane and I can definitely talk about what designs the most right upcoming, but this is definitely a good start for sure. I like the little rear view mirrors on the middle one, just Dave looking around, trying to make sure he's in the right place. Yeah. Cool, very nice, thank you.
Yeah, and I guess one last note. I realized this last night that all of these robots are pretty humanoid in design. So if you want me to take a stab at some designs that are maybe a little bit like these, I would say like maybe like 60% human, 40% car. If you want me to do a couple that are like maybe like 80% car or 60% car, I can do another round with those as well.
Go for it, Shane.
My only intuition is like on a completely different vein. Like Theftbot feels like he should be like a spider bot or like a hex bot, like an ant bot. But for the Dave bots, I think we're on the right track.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I was just looking at some of the old concepts, and I noticed that there was one version that seemed to be more like a car with legs, and I thought that might be a fun avenue to explore too if we wanted to. If these are on the right track, then this is fine as well.
Yeah. I'm thinking this is probably more along the lines of what's going to be reasonable for us. Cool, very cool. Considering that, I'm not sure there's too much we can talk about, or if you want to step out at this point. Shane, is there anything you'd like to discuss?
Just jumping ahead, the number one consideration plot-wise for the Dave bot is that on the jump to the island, it kind of opens up to an open air cockpit kind of thing, where there's enough space for Helen, Mel, and Dave to sit. So the one on the far left might be the best, just because I can imagine if you take out Dave's head there, you can make it's like a couch-sized command couch that they all kind of sit on as they fly. But there's multiple ways we could work it out. But I really think we're on the right track with these bots here.
Yeah, and I think it's
like the little minivan kind of thing, like you were saying. That's completely fine as long as it's some sort of civilianish vehicle that fits the plot just fine. For sure.
Yeah, and just one quick note about that too is that we can also bring in some pretty fun comedy aspects about the space they have to sit there. So like if we did end up using one with a smaller headspace, it might be kind of funny to watch them all try to smoosh together in that smaller area, trying to sit all close together. So yeah, there's some good areas to use for comedy in those designs as well. But yeah, thank you for coming by while you're sick, though. Very much appreciated.
Yeah, go heal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course,
Please
are there
go
any?
make this best.
Thank you. Yeah. And oh, what else? Yeah, I think that's it for me. If yeah, are there any other final notes on like the environment style guide or anything like that, or?
No, not at this time. I mean, it was very close to done in the first place. And yeah, I'm going to take another quick look at it following the meeting, but no, I have nothing to add at this time.
All right,
I really
cool.
like how you're interpreting like the stuff that I try to put into my painting, and you're totally picking up on everything and putting it in writing. That's really cool to see.
Oh,
Yeah, I
thank
was
you.
going to say almost exactly that same thing. It's nice seeing it dynamically stuff appearing in there with like a coherent language morphing together.
Yeah, absolutely. And like one thing I can do moving forward too, if y'all feel is needed, is as Johanna keeps cranking out more concepts for the environments, I can update some of the images here. Like I know that the Dave's Corner is still pretty early on in concept. It's not as fleshed out as say like Mel's Corner. So I can go ahead and just like replace some of these older images with either finished ones and whatnot as we continue moving forward, just to keep the style guide as current and as reflective of the style that we have as possible.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Very nice. Well, yeah, we'll talk more about any changes that are needed, but for now, I think it's looking good. And go heal. Have a good
Yeah.
have a good sleep.
All right, y'all.
What,
Well,
one quick thing, Dave.
yes.
I know I messaged you about deadline stuff, but I didn't know you were sick, so I'll just catch up with you later on this week when maybe you're feeling a little better, okay?
Yeah, no, for sure. And hit me up if you want. We can hit me up on Slack. We can schedule something a little bit late. What's your time zone situation? Are you? Oh, go ahead.
I'm Eastern Standard Time, so it's like 12:14 p.m. where I'm at. I don't know what it's like over on your end.
It is 9:14. I'm West Coast, so
Okay.
that'll be fun to juggle.
Yeah, we'll work something out together. But I just didn't want to like rope you into all that junk when I didn't realize you were sick or anything. So
No, it's quite all right. I wish I wasn't, but anyway, I won't keep you all much longer. Thank you for the feedback. I'll go ahead and move forward with the DaveBot stuff and consider the feedback I got from y'all. And
The note of reference that I had in like a folder, I had a bunch of DaveBot stuff that just to throw into the mixing pot and see which ingredients are best. So the card will be updated in a little bit here with some ideas.
oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I'll
None of it ironclad, but there might be some ideas there for you.
yeah, absolutely. That's cool. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I yield the floor. I'll see y'all later, and Happy New Year all. Okay.
Bye bye.
Thanks.
Look
Bye.
forward to acknowledge the balance of your time.
Yep.
Cool beans. Very nice. Who would like to go next?
I can.
Sure, sounds great.
Okay, so since Christmas happened, I didn't actually get done a lot. But I did design the chairs after Shane's feedback that it would be cool to have them like slide into the wall. So I did.
Saw that. Cool.
And also the table, which can be set into the floor. So it's really the room can be as empty or full as we need it for a given scene. And
Good. That solves our.
Yeah, perfect.
And then the top-down view I did with the colors added, so we can see the entire room and see like the different corners. Some like Mel's corner is the only one that has really this lava red, and so I saw your feedback, Laura, but I didn't actually get to read it properly yet because I just saw it when the call started. So I think you needed some color changes. That's no problem. I will adjust that as needed once I read it properly.
For sure. Yeah, I did just add it. Yeah, no worries.
And then the elevator area I fleshed out some more so we can see a bit clearer what's happening than in the first sketch. And that's pretty much what I did for the last 2 weeks. And I do have a question though, because all of these categories with blockout and layout, can you maybe let me know what exactly what you need for these steps? Because
Sure. So this is like I also mentioned this in the feedback I just left earlier. It's more just for me to organize our structure and how we're developing this, but I don't think there's any need for you to go backwards and
Okay.
develop in a backwards manner. Like what you're doing so far is great. If I feel the need to say, hey, we have a certain scene where this specific lighting needs to happen, then we can go and explore a little bit in there. But I don't think there's any need to do that at this point. It'll just be for when we need to develop for like an environment artist for, special scenes.
Okay. So I can go on to color with the entrance, the elevator area and the conference area, and then what about the launch? Is that okay so far? So can that also go to color next?
The launch area, I might have missed that area. I don't see any black and white refs. Are we talking about, no, that's the elevator. Can you specify which image you're talking about to go to color?
SewerLab version 10B launch. That's the one with the heart-shaped couch. That's the newest version of that corner.
Version 10A Can you say the file name one more time?
SewerLab version
Oh.
10B
Oh,
underscore
the lounge,
launch.
yes. That area is good to also go to color. I think the only thing missing there is the crystal maybe on the far right side, but yeah, I think that's ready to go to color for sure.
Okay, so lots of color incoming.
Excellent. I love colors.
Me too.
Yeah, sounds good. It's looking great. I left the notes that I had about it. But yeah, I have no real other notes other than that I was wondering if and when is a good time to start talking to you about the homages that people wanted. I know that Shane was interested in seeing something from the Samus games. Some kind of lab.
I'll link one of those. That's super easy. It's 90% the way there already.
Yeah, I thought so, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we're getting those little notes in now rather than later because we're going to start moving into color, and it would be, I think, easiest to get those homages in now. But definitely. I wanted to get your notes. Yeah, okay. So, Shane, if there's any other homage things that you want to have included in the lab, yeah, would like to get that now. The only thing that I wanted specifically was a corpse flower somewhere. I also mentioned that in my notes.
So but I can do that for sure.
Cool. And then I guess I can put a general Slack message out there asking if anyone else has any little homage things they want to add in there.
But
but I just want to caution. I mean, I guess not everyone's here, but I'm going to also caution on the general Slack message that we probably shouldn't just go crazy on homages because it'll look a little cheesy. It'll look like just having little things everywhere that people recognize. We should still have, unique original stuff. But if there's something that someone really wants to put in there, really thinks will be a good comedy bit or stuff like that, definitely put their voices up.
Yeah, that's always good to know early, particularly when it's bigger things. If it's just something like a sticker or exchanging a plant or something for some well-known game plant or something like that, I can always stick that on later too. But I mean, if I know something early, then I can implement it right away. So
right, yeah.
Give me everything you have.
Excellent. Yes. Yeah. I don't imagine that we're gonna have any huge homage things, just because it would be kind of cheesy and not great in the art style, but yeah, small things. I think, like you said, will be pretty easy to implement, like retroactively as well. Just being able to swap out plants and things like that, or like
Yeah.
adding a small poster should be pretty easy to do. But
Yeah.
the one thing I wanted was,
Regarding posters, we still have the conference area anyway, which I think we said we just leave the posters blank. So
yeah,
we can add stuff at any time.
yeah,
And you can
yeah,
also
that's
just
perfect.
send me if there's any specific retro public domain poster or something. I can just put it in as is. So
Yeah.
otherwise, I can just I put in placeholders and it can be adjusted as we need it.
Yeah, yeah. I think the placeholders method is best for now, especially as people are not watching the card as actively as we are. So sounds good. Sounds good. Shane, you have anything you want to add? I know I saw your notes that you're liking stuff, but
Yeah, no, it's looking good. I'm glad that we're systematically moving through the rooms. Oh, I do have something to add. So I sent a few of these to Shannon Garrity, the original comics creator, and she's really into them. She's like, man, I want to see this thing get made just so I can see my characters walking around in this lab and doing lab stuff.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, but one other thing that implies for us to think a little bit now is that at some point, like when there's just scenes, we should have like little in plays they call it business. Like, Helen and Dave are talking, and then maybe Mel's just like pipetting out like 10 little beakers of stuff, or people just doing like lab stuff in the background. But it's kind of strongly implied. Like if there's a sink, Mel could just be washing out a bunch of old beakers or whatever. Or Dave could be like hooking up different like Bunsen burner stuff. Just little things like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking anyway that those lab tables, so over what time frame is the series playing out from beginning to end?
How long is the show? About 4 hours.
No, I mean in serious time for the characters.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting thing. So the comic ran in real time over 6 years, but in the in our version, I've made it sort of timeless. Like every time there's a reference to time, I deliberately ambiguate it. So closer to a couple of months, maybe like 1 year. It's like several days. Like there's off-camera stuff where they go home and sleep and stuff. But
Okay.
the scale of months is probably about correct.
Okay, so that even gives us, if we have the resources for 3D and stuff, that would even give us the option to change things. Like, for example, one of the middle tables has plant stuff growing kind of
Right.
in the table. So we can either have a progression from it starts small, or maybe she's planting something. You see her work on that, and over the time it grows and whatever.
I do like that. Like we strongly hinted at that, but like every area, it'd be kind of cool if it had like a level 1, level 2, level 3, like the areas level up, so to speak. Like you're saying, like Mel's, maybe she has like 2 or 3 ninja stars and 1 katana, and then later she gets like her crossbow, and then there's like more weapons appearing. Like every area could level up. There's 11 episodes. Not every area appears, but you're right. We can definitely each episode progress areas from 1, 2, 3 levels, 5 levels. It's
I was
inherently
gonna say that or oh, gosh, sorry.
It's fine.
You first.
It's inherently correct to have every area that we're willing to put some effort into progress as the plot goes along.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, we could also just have things that maybe happened in previous episodes have some kind of appearance in the lab. Like if they picked up something in one episode, it would be there later. I think the little details really help it all tie it all together. That's all.
And I really like Dave's idea of like foreshadowing posters and stuff. Just like episodes ahead, like Helen really wants to win the Von Boom Award. The Mad Science has this top level. It's like the Nobel Prize in Mad Science, like the Von Boom Award. We never really describe what it is, but people will feel like they know what it is if we make like a poster like Von Boom Award. Are you doing enough to earn it? Like or just of like previous winners like holding the award and gloating. Just on the back of the conversation, like the camera doesn't even really look at it. Just that unconsciously people are like, oh, there's an award. Helen probably wants to win that. And just There's probably a ton. I'm jotting down notes about things we should foreshadow ahead of time.
Great.
But yeah,
That's what
I-
I'd like. Yeah.
sounded like Kelby. Like, yeah, they should definitely be taking trophies. Like after the Isle of the Daves, like maybe Mel takes a couple of like Dave uniform patches as trophies, or like in games you're always like collecting the dog tags of your enemies. So maybe Mel literally does that, and there's a few extra like Dave dog tags hanging up on her little trophy case. I don't know, stuff like that.
Yeah, a list of that kind
Sounds
of stuff
good.
would be great. So in that case, I think it might be nice to have maybe a black and white layout of the entire area in the stage 1 version. So like brand new, that's how we first find the lab, and then like the last stage. So maybe not all stages. We don't need to concept all of the stages at this point, but maybe having one more black and white of the entire sewer lab in its final stage, because I'm assuming that we're looking currently at its first stage. So maybe just having a final stage, black and white rough would be good as well.
I have another paradigm idea for that point,
Sure.
which is we could also do a per item thing. Like, so let's say somebody wants to add like a beanstalk plant. They could just be like beanstalk plant 1, a little sprout, beanstalk 2, medium size, beanstalk 3, it's really tall. Or like Mel's assault rifle 1, it's just a basic assault rifle. And then step 2 is it gets a scope. And then step 3 is it gets like a combat harness with like a sweet holster or whatever. Just like, so the opposite of doing the whole lab from 1 to 3, which could be okay too. But every time we think of a new item, people can just show us the 1, 2, 3 of if that item even progresses. Not every item has to be a progressing item. Or like maybe
Yeah.
Dave gets a server rack with like 1 server is step 1. Step 2 is there's like it's mostly full of racks, and step 3 is just like glowing cathode ray tubes and stuff for like power or what.
Yeah, we actually were working a little bit on that previously with Dave's lab, or Dave's area of the lab, where his area is eventually infested by Helen's plants, just as a story beat.
Right, I
But
remember.
yeah, we're definitely into
So then
that.
if there's anything we don't think of right now, like, but we'll have a rule set for, okay, if you're going to do an item and it progresses, just show us what the item does. And then like, if it appears on a lab desk, it goes on a lab desk. If it appears somewhere in Dave space, it gets in Dave space, and here's its different levels.
Yeah,
So we're
I
not
think
thinking of everything right now, but we've got a rule set for if people do think of something, should just show us where it fits and how it goes.
Yeah, so I think some of the most important assets for that progression is going to be the hollow globe area as well. Like right now, it's very nice and clean, but maybe as its last stage, it could have, a lot more plant infestation, crystals, and more computer tech kind of stuff that Dave's added onto as well. Because I know Dave's progression in Evil Mad Science also has a lot to do with the story beats. So maybe having that hollow globe become extra ultra techy. That's the one asset I can think of off the top of my head that I think should have that progression.
That gives me one other comment right now. So I guess there's actually a stage 4, which is when the lab runs down. Like eventually Dave leaves the lab, like Helen kicks him out for his own safety.
Yeah.
Just like a rundown, like things start burning out, and there's like panels that are open and like sparking just because Dave never got around to fixing them, and like
Yeah.
Helen's overwhelmed with everything. So like a fourth rundown, and then like the lab actually kind of feels sick and broken. And like we've got this little like dysfunctional family unit, and then like Dave leaves, so like one member of the family left. So if the lab kind of feels that would hit harder towards the end there.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Something to think about.
Yeah, no, I would actually like to assign that if that's okay. So to get two more black and white roughs of the entire lab space. One rough being the broken down version, and the second rough being the final tech stages of the area.
And I think
Yeah,
the
that
lab
actually
being all
fits pretty
broken
well.
down also really helps the viewers feel the weight of Dave leaving the team. Even in the little things like the plants wilting too, I think it's just really adds to the bigger picture. I'm sorry, continue.
I like that. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. So yeah, even on like on the hero's journey story arc, at around 2/3 of the way, there's this thing called the false victory, where it's like, oh, Dave and Helen finally made out. This is great. Everybody loves each other now, and then it falls apart completely. And then like the labs, like you're saying, the lab wilts along with it. Yeah, just to, I have an idea that I want to clarify. Like, so like maybe like there's like the false victory lab where a lot of Dave tech is in Dave Tech and Helen Tech are like nicely evolved. And then when it falls apart, like stage 4, when things fail, like the Dave Tech is there, but now it's not being maintained. So it's kind of like a continuation of there's all this stuff, but now half of it's not working quite right. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Just to clarify. And then I don't
Almost
know.
give it a kind of junkyardy kind of look. in
Yeah,
a sense.
exactly. And then at the very end, when they eventually, we could put it back to like 3+. Like eventually, when everything's worked out at the very end, I don't know if we even go back to the lab. I don't think we do. I don't think. I mean, we could change things and just show a scene that the lab's back and good now. People might find that really cathartic. But
Yeah, because it's pretty and people want to see it fixed. You know? But we can, yeah, we don't. If that's not actually shown, I don't know if it's you know that
Probably
might
not.
be a good use of resources. Unfortunately.
yeah, no, I agree. So yeah, we've got like the false victory lab looking good, and then the rundown lab, and then we'll just assume it looks great. People can imagine in their minds what it looks like when things work
Okay.
out.
Okay, so in that case, let's revise the assignment then, Johanna. So we're gonna so let's get one rough of the lab in its broken down version, and then we'll hold off on the final version, the cleaned up version, if and when we have maybe the resources to get into that. But yeah, let's.
I don't think we're ever going to need that. I don't think the script calls for going back there.
Okay, yeah. Let's just hold off on that final stage of the lab. Let's just do the broken down version.
Got it.
Okay, but broken down of something that's progressed further than what we have right now.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
true. So you might
Final
need to
stage.
do
The maximum amount of growth, and then the maximum amount of growth like starts to decay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I like that.
So would you like me to use the top-down view for that, or the single eye-level views?
I would prefer the top-down view because it's
Has everything.
yeah.
Okay.
Great, awesome,
Cool.
very good. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to ask or get some feedback on? Otherwise, I think we will move on to Lawrence.
Just do you have a preference in what I do next? The color of the scenes we were working on, or the rundown version of the top-down view?
I would prefer the colors, just so
Okay.
that just I think that's
Okay.
the most necessary is to finish up the whole concept before we start doing iterations of it.
Yep, that's true. Okay.
Yeah. Cool beans. Lawrence, are you around?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so over the break, or before the break, actually, I fixed up Helen's face. There were a lot of bones here that weren't working for the Perseus rig, so I know you don't like blend shapes, but I used corrective blend shapes to fix that. And just so you know, I exhausted all my other options before I did that. It doesn't really slow down the rig anyway, so they're just correctives for the bones there. And I don't know if you saw the animation test, but
I did.
I think it looks decent. There's, I guess when, I don't know, we talked to the creator of the Perseus rig, maybe he could fix what's going on with the facial rig. There is one bone.
I sent that to him, so we'll see what he says.
Oh, perfect. That's great. Yeah, there's one bone on the right side of the face that isn't going down when you open the jaw, and it's leading to some ugly deformations. So, yeah, I managed to fix that, and I did work on some of the body too, so that the clothes not clipping through, or the body's not clipping through the clothing. I did see the animation test for the rig. I think, Laura, you mentioned that from Stephen Ehrenhaus. I might do some animation tests for the body also before I send the rig along.
Okay. Yeah.
And on top of that, I also finished retopologizing Alpha, so she's ready to rig whenever we think it's time to do that.
Okay.
And
great.
That's pretty much all I have.
All right, awesome. There's one small thing I was wondering if you'd tested yet was the scaling issue that we were experiencing previously. I was wondering if you found some fixes towards that, or if you'd already implemented those.
I think I did. Let me test it out right now. I have my open. Hold on.
The thing that I was experiencing was, I believe it was the blend shapes that weren't scaling properly when in my own tests in my own time on my personal character from Perseus. But I know there were some discrepancies between your Perseus experiences in that manner. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of get a feel for where you ended up there.
I'm gonna have to go back in Trello, but I think I did fix something. I think it was with the mill rig, not Helen. But let's see, it was the eyeballs popping out of the head. Helen's experiencing the same issues with that right now, but I think had something to do with the Perseus rig. I don't think it was. I'm not sure if it was a blend shape issue. It could be wrong, but.
Is that note in the rigging document that was sent off by chance?
Let me see. I don't think it was actually.
Yeah, if you could add in that information real quick so that when he logs in and views that document, he'll be able to see that note as well.
Yeah, I'll add that right away.
Sweet.
Actually, I think the notes were on Slack. I'll have to reference back to that.
Should be Google Doc. If you have the Narbonic glossary available, it should be attached there.
Okay. Yeah, Helen's the one, not Helen, but Mel's the one that I ended up fixing. Her eyes aren't no longer popping out of her head when you scale her up. Her torso is stretching, though. I don't know how to fix that. So that's something I'll add to the document.
Okay. And then the last note I was wondering was, you and I discussed in making the clothing end cloth for the rigs. And I was just wondering how that was going.
I can start doing that too. Should I go ahead and do that after I'm done fixing the rig or before?
What would you recommend? Because I believe you worked with end cloth clothing on characters more commonly than I have. What do you think is more appropriate?
I think after all the rig fixes, because
Okay.
Yeah, I think after the rig fixes are probably the best.
Okay.
I
That's fine
don't
with me.
know what would happen if since the hard, let me see, I don't know what it's called, but it's colliding with the body. I don't know what any kind of weird deformations would do to the end cloth in real time. I could probably set it up and probably do that and test it out, see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a test that's really necessary to do at this point. I know that we're going to be having to build some more rigging aspects to the clothing, even with the end cloth. So it might be worthwhile. I don't know. I think that might be up to Shane if he wants to invest the resources there. But it might be better to wait until after we have the scaling and blend shape issues and that one bone issue resolved before we get into that. But I would also personally like to see her doing some kind of example movement with the end cloth, just like as a visual update of like how it should look.
Okay.
I think it's up to Shane at that point.
All right. I'll give it a shot.
Opinion.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't really have a strong opinion on the order of that one right now. I guess it depends if the Perseus guy gets back to us in a reasonable amount of time, like I think he probably will. I only sent it out in the last 24 hours, so it hasn't been a long time yet.
All right. I'll update it. I noticed there's a global scale thing on the side, so it should work, but I'm not sure why the torso is stretching up so much. There we go. All right. Yeah, that's all I have. I'll add that to the list of things I need to do, and cloth and animation test.
Sweet.
All right, that's good. We're making pretty good time today.
Yeah. I think the only thing I wanted to add was I added a couple more possible contractors to our contractor doc chain for storyboarders and groom artists. Lawrence would like to focus more on the rigs and the sculpts. So we're going to be, So we're gonna look into, or we'd like to look into a groom artist, and I've put a couple of those on the document as well. Speaking of that, Lawrence, I was wondering if you could get me the contact information for your Instagram friend, that Jeff guy. who was also doing some rig stuff. I really liked the grooms he was doing. And I'd like to reach out to him if he'd be available for that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
he'd be a really good fit for this project. He knows way more about rigging and cloth and hair than I do, so I think he'd be perfect. I'll
Yeah, it'd
get
be great
his
to
contact
get you
with
guys
you.
to work together.
Yeah.
Say that again?
I'll
I'm
get
all
you his
for
contact information.
expertise.
Okay, great, thanks. Cool beans.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have much else to add artistically. I've just been, responding to people and doing research on more artists to bring on board. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about with the storyboarders is at some point we're going to have to look into or at least talk about editors. So animation editors are a really integral part of development of the timing of the storyboards. And it's not necessary to bring on an editor until we have a good chunk of storyboards done. But I did just also want to bring that up is that if anyone knows an editor, or Shane, if you want to take a think about that for timing stuff, it is going to come up.
I guess the more we can get, I agree with the first part. Like, we need a few more boards to have something to edit, but it's definitely worth
Definitely.
thinking about it and putting out like the first feelers for if we can get some.
Yeah, that's where I'm coming from. Is I'd like to be proactive about finding someone so that it's not like reactive, like, oh, we have boards, well now we have to wait 2 or 3 weeks to find someone. So yeah, just putting it out there that if anyone knows anyone, or if anyone just bring those people to my attention. But otherwise, I think I don't think Alex is with us today. So, and I haven't heard from him about any new updates. And then Jeroen also gave us a shoe update. And other than that, he has not given me any other, or he did tell me that he is going to be separating out the meshes of the hair and face sculpt because they're currently all one, which is not how we're doing the rest of the characters. So he said he's going to update that for us. He's also going to be updating the shape and look of those assets as well, like his facial hair and his actual hair, because he didn't like how it looked, and I thought it looked kind of like white trashy on his beard at least. But so he is working on that as well.
Cool.
Yep.
I also tried reaching out to Alex and did not get any response. And I didn't get
Yeah,
a response
I think he's
the
at-
last time. So
I think he's at vacation right now.
Okay.
Yep.
I know we talked earlier, Laura, but I didn't know if you want me to just check in with you a little bit of what I've been doing. Or I can just, while we're here in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Since I've just kind of been back on the project here for the past couple days. So definitely getting back up to speed with things has definitely been a thing. I've definitely reached out to some folks for deadline stuff, but I know it's A, the weekend, B, near New Year's, and C, some people have been sick and stuff, so I'll probably just kind of catch up with folks later on in the week, or if they ping me before then, great. I know our big thing right now has been the budget, so I have been trying to do some secondary research while I wait to hear back on some of the people I've reached out to, finding a lot of just researching like Glassdoor and a lot of other online resources for general price range for certain things that we'll need, and certain artists, like a storyboard artist, for instance. I found that storyboard artists generally are asked for a lot more than maybe other, like a concept artist or something, on average. So
that doesn't really line up actually with my research.
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so we've already discussed rates for storyboarders and offered a rate to the person that we're going to give an art test right now. They have accepted that rate, and I'm actually sending out that packet to get that art test started, like after this meeting. So that art test is going to be starting at a rate that is something that Shane and I have agreed upon at this point. Yeah, but that doesn't sound exactly like what the research that I've found.
Okay. Just for my own benefits, maybe after we adjourn the meeting, do you think you could send me the research you've done just so I see like where you're pulling information? That'll help me in my research as I continue on, because that would be really helpful.
Sure. Yeah, can do.
Awesome. So yeah, just trying to do some research, find estimates on stuff that are more closer in line with what would be industry averages. The big thing for me, and just getting in touch with folks is definitely going to take some time. I did what you mentioned about going on LinkedIn and definitely found some promising leads on folks, but it seems that I cannot contact them unless I have LinkedIn Premium, and a lot of people don't have their email addresses publicly available, or at least the people I've seen. So I'll keep looking. I might be able to get a free like 1 month trial, which will at least give me the ability to just send them a message and ask them a question or two if they're open to it.
Right.
And kind of see.
Well, you may also be able to just like Google their name along with their title, like their professional title, and see if they have a blog or a Twitter or an email on like a professional website that they might have. Like there should be other ways to be able to kind of track them down.
Yeah, for sure. I've started a little bit of that. I didn't have a lot of luck, but I'll keep trying.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, and I also just need to do some revision on some of the old documentation that I wrote back in like September and clean some of that up, and just make sure that everybody's on track and get our board updated with some proper deadlines and scheduling, so we can kind of make a good timeline for the next like 2 or 3 weeks. Is really my big goal right now. So yep, that's really it though.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Awesome. Very nice. Shane, is there anything you'd like to end on?
Nope. Just keeping up the good work. We've got something of a good rhythm down where, every other week we check in, everybody has something, or they're busy or whatever, life goes on. But as long as we keep making progress, I mean, the road eventually ends.
Yep.
So, we'll have like episode 2 come together, and then once that's done, well, I think we'll pick up speed for the remaining episodes.
Oh yeah.
Because we'll have the basics in place.
Oh yeah, I mean, one episode 2 is finished. I mean, like I can already imagine like a lot of set pieces and assets, and a lot of the work will already have been over that hump. So it's just a matter of doing what we need to do for the rest of the series. And at that point, having having an MVP or working proof of concept with episode 2 being our pilot, I think will just really help us as a team, and also just something as we show towards people. I think, as you mentioned in an earlier meeting, Shane, having something out there is just a huge step forward.
Yep. I mean, like we're kind of building a thing where so we've got the main lab, and we're just kind of going step by step, like, this area, and then there's like Mad Blood's moon base. Mad Blood's basement's actually pretty small. There's the island, there's the conference hotel, and then there's like the flying island. And maybe Alpha's lab. So there's maybe like 6 more main locations, but it's not insurmountable. So
nope. One last thing I wanted to ask real quick though was, should I go ahead and assign the Artie Sculpt to Lawrence? And if so, Lawrence, how do you feel about your workload currently? Because I know you have a lot of characters you're working on right now, and I'm just wondering when you would like us to bring in another artist to help offload your work.
Let's see. Because I'm spread a little thin between rigging and working on Alpha Helen, but I feel okay with it. I could work on Artie as soon as we get someone else who can take over like some of the rigging. I'm contacting Jeff right now.
Okay.
I don't really have his contact information. I just have his Instagram. I could message him if you'd like, or you could do that if you want. If you have something.
I don't have the ability to message him. I was looking at that, and I don't see any way to like DM him. But if you could get us in contact, like maybe give him my email or something, or if he's willing to like give you his email so that I can reach out to him.
Okay.
I think that would be really helpful.
Cool. I'm just asking him if he's available for freelance, and if he could give me his email or whatever. I'll just say we're looking for a rigger with X-Gen experience and that kind of stuff. So
yep.
Cool. I'll give you an update on that. I also updated the Perseus document. I said the spine stretching when you use the global scale. So there's that. But yeah.
You're not seeing any lip stuff though?
Lip stuff? No.
Yeah.
Can I share my screen?
Sure.
I can show you what I'm seeing.
Well, maybe call me after the meeting when we can let everyone go and we can talk a little bit more.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, so we can talk a little bit more about the technicals. But other than that, that was pretty much all that I wanted to update you guys on. But yeah, is there anything you want to add, Shane, before we say goodbye?
Nope. Thanks for all the good work. Let's keep just chugging away.
Cool. Sounds good. Have a good day, y'all.
All
All
right.
right.
Take care.
Thanks,
All right.
guys. See ya.
And
Bye.
Later.
have a good New
Bye.
Year, everyone.
Yeah, you as
Yeah,
well.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Okay. Toodles.